Ready? It's 1 p.m. I feel like we live, man. We live. All right, I'm gonna give everybody a couple minutes because everybody be a few minutes late. You know what I mean? To Brown and Balance Live, man. Even though I told y'all, man, to be here at 1 p.m. But either way, we here, man. Yo, welcome everybody to Brown and Balance Live, man. This is episode 4 of season 2, man. We got a great episode coming for you guys today, man. This is the CEO edition. You know what I mean? This is the first time that everyone that is a special guest on Brown and Balance will be a CEO and an owner. You know what I mean? Ownership, especially in this day and age, is very important. Owning your brand, promoting yourself, getting your stuff out there instead of always going to get, someone else's is super important. Also, supporting Black brands. That is the most important thing for me because as we all know, Black people have the buying power. We move, we set the trends, and then we move the trends. So with that being said, before we get into our special guest today, I'm going to start my show off like we always start our show off, man. Rest in peace to George Floyd, man. It's been a year, this past week. We ain't forgot. The fight doesn't end. We're still out here. We know we got a little bit of a start to some justice with what happened to Duke. I ain't going to say his name because it's not even important. But to the former officer, who got convicted, we got 3 more to go, and then we got some more cases to do. So rest in peace to George Floyd. Rest in peace to Breonna Taylor, man. We got to protect Black women, guys. I know we talk about George Floyd. We talk about Ahmaud Arbery. Rest in peace to him. We talk about Botham Jean. Rest in peace to him. But, one thing I'm noticing, man, we're not protecting and talking about and standing up for our Black women in the same shape, form, and fashion. So Breonna Taylor, sis, we still got you. We still out here, man, fighting for you and any other Black women that we have lost, unfortunately, due to senseless, violence. We still here. Sandra Bland, we ain't forgot about none of y'all. I know there's names that I'm missing right now, and I charge it to my head, not my heart, and I will make sure to give them their just due as we go forward. But please believe, it hasn't changed. I mean, if you guys can see my name on the screen, it still don't shoot me. My hands is up. I feel like, every time we come on Brown and Balance, there's been a lot of senseless violence and unarmed Black people getting killed. So, as a statement for me and mine, I want to make sure that my name is there, and I need the awareness to be there, especially in our community, because, when we go to travel and we had all these cocktail weeks and all these fun events, at the drop of a dime and at any moment, somebody that looks like myself or, somebody looks like, some of our sisters out here, could be the next hashtag. And we need that to stop ASAP. So that's the heavy stuff out the way. We're here. I need everybody. Y'all already know what I do. It's the commercial. Go to Campari Community. It's going to pop up on the screen due to my super producer. Well, actually my okay producer, but he's getting back to super because that was really fast on the transition. I need y'all to go follow Campari Community on Instagram. And then I need y'all to hit that right at the bottom, the website at the bottom, and get on the Campari mailing list. And if you're really nice to Ann Louise, something really cool happened. So me and Ann Louise is my good friend, works at Campari. I told her earlier this week I was going to share this story. So she has a colleague whose name is Josh. And randomly, she means to call him at times. Ann Louise calls me. And I love it. It's always a great time when we talk every time we do it. So with that, sign up on the mailing list, but everybody change your name to Josh. So that way, if she says your number, you might be able to get a random phone call from Ann Louise in the middle of the day and lift your spirits when you're having a tough day. Because I was having a tough day. Her name popped up on the phone. She didn't mean to call me, but it was a great time when she did. All right. So y'all do that, man. I told her I was going to share it, man. Shout out to Ann Louise. Shout out to the whole family at Campari. Shout out to my Thirsty family. Shout out to my Lush Life family, who are all integral in us doing this and putting Brown and Balance out there, man. So enough of Josh. Let's get to it. You know what I mean? Let's get to our special guest. Our first guest, man, is my brother. He already know what it is. We argue about New York and Chicago. I'm not going to say argue. We have heated discussions about New York and Chicago, hip-hop, basketball. But more importantly, man, this is a brother who has a brand that he owns, Hella Cocktail Company, has been a huge supporter of Brown and Balance before we actually even knew each other. His company has been down from day one what Brown and Balance stands for. I've actually supported him in my bars. I support him at events I do in Chicago. So without further ado, actually, if y'all look at this this recipe right here from DC 4 years ago, I used Hella Cocktail Company in, my cocktail at the Brown and Balance DC edition. So without further ado, my brother Jomaree Pinkard, will you come on the screen? What's up, King?
What's going on, fam?
Hey man, I'm gonna get out the way, man. You know, we've done this on Instagram a few times. You know, we've done it in person. You know, many more times outside that, man. I'm happy that you're on. I just want to let everybody, man, let you tell your story, how you got in the industry, how you guys created Hella. You know, just how the genesis of everything happened.
Yeah, man. No, I appreciate it, and a shout out to the Brown and Balance crew. You're doing it. I'm proud of what you and the team has been able to put together. All the companies you mentioned. Salute to you guys for continuing to control the narrative and push our culture forward. So first and foremost, thank you for doing that. You're holding the torch. I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
But man, let's see. Hella. I mean, damn. I'm not shy, but I also don't really like to talk about myself like it's like that. But I'll go in for the culture and for people who care about what we do and how we do it. But feel free to jump in with questions, and I love conversations much more than me chat by myself. But Hell is really a story about grabbing your own by the and like getting to it. And so it's about sharing. Our story is about sharing our culture, our narrative, our story with ourselves collectively, internally first, and then with the world. And so, my co-founders are Eddie, Simeon, and Tobin Ludwig. We're friends for collectively over 45 years now, long before Hella even existed. And so, kind of guys that, made a homemade pizza, maybe watch the game, and then try to one-up each other making a cocktail. And cocktail bitters was the secret ingredient, the secret weapon, and everyone had their own mason jar. And so that hobby, which was a hobby for many years, it was not meant to be a company at its inception. And so, it completely got out of control, clearly, right? The community, specifically at that time, the Williamsburg, Brooklyn community and the Lower East Side of Manhattan community kind of galvanized that around these hipster kids making some fun stuff. And lo and behold, we started popping up in bars and restaurants. Didn't know how, realized there was a whole marketplace of specialty stores like Whisk and places like that sold bitters, salt, the Meadow. We had no idea this is how our stuff was getting out there. And then said, okay, let's put our business hats on. There's something here. Everyone was doing their own full-time jobs at the time. We called the project the Nights and Weekends Project for years and met every Tuesday night and Saturday afternoon just to hash it out. To talk shop, to talk about the industry, how it worked from a business perspective, but really with no true goal of making it something really large. And so again, 3, 4, 5 years into it, said, wow, we really have something, the community's behind us. Let's go do this for real. And so that's kind of what we went on this journey to kind of showcase one, how to share, right? For us, it's about sharing diversity, community, but also the how to. I love sharing how to do it. You know what I mean? Because it's not that often that you could take something from a hobby and then turn it into a business and kind of be entrepreneur about your own space, right? And taking control of that. And I like talking a lot more about that than a lot, everything else. But I'll leave it there for now, and we can get into it.
All right. So, I love the fact that y'all are friends in business, right? You got your man, your homies. So y'all know each other. Y'all know the way everybody ticks. Me personally, I come from that, don't mix friends in business. You know what I mean? So with running a successful business, how are you, how y'all been able to navigate friendship, business? Because, like Nino said, it's always business. It's never personal. So I know there's probably hella disagreements. See how I did that? You know what I mean? Hella disagreements. Y'all probably arguing and all of that. I don't have any partners. Right? It's just usually just what Josh wants to do. And then, we roll with it. How do y'all navigate that?
Yeah, man. No, that's real talk. And I wouldn't, I wouldn't recommend it to most people. You have to be right. It's because it's hard. It's no joke. I think for us as people before the business, what we're probably all three good at in our own individual ways is communication. We all have ways of communicating that don't always work for each other, but we're really emotive about our ideas and our feelings, right? And so of course, there's always conflict and things like that because you're going to have that when you have a three-headed monster. But we're really, really good at communication, even when it's getting crazy. So even in our fights, we're like, hold up, we're fighting right now. Okay, round 2. And round 2 looks different than round 1, right? And round 3 looks more improved than round 2. And so having that process, even inside a disagreement or a constructive conversation, we've really, really gotten really good at that. And because the inception of the business was a hobby, we didn't have that pressure that's normally upon going into business, right? So the space was already kind of open for us to have communicative styles that kind of blended and worked for each other, and for us to get to know each other in that business sense without all the pressures of like return on investment and financing and all that other wild stuff. And so I think the blend of those things allow for us to have a different relationship than most people when you get into that traditional business with friends and family.
Word. So what's some things like y'all have, like some obstacles y'all have being a black-owned, minority-owned, you know what I mean, business? Like, what are some of the obstacles you guys had in the beginning? Like, did you have problems like people taking y'all serious? Because you got Fee Brothers, you got Regans, you got so many different other, you know, Bittermen, so many other type of you know, bitters and NA Bev companies out there, you know, being black-owned, trying to get y'all piece of the marketplace. Like, what are some obstacles and how did y'all, you know, overcome those?
Listen, man, it's been a long journey and it's nothing but obstacles all day.
Yeah.
You know, the first year, and the obstacles go from, I'll give you an example, but the obstacles go from communication style to the industry, credibility to the industry, right? Familiarity with us people, like who you guys ain't like, you don't bartend at so and so, like what you talking about? Right. And so we had a lot of obstacles from the vantage point of like, there's you named a few brands that have like, you know, ingratiated themselves as part of the culture forever, even though you might have never met a person from that company. People grew up learning how to make cocktails with those products. So to break that, we were like, let's just go talk to people. Let's go into the field. Let's go into the bars and like really tell people why ours is different, right? And tell them who we are as people first and foremost. And so that took forever and a day, but people started to galvanize around us because we're good people. Like, we authentic people. We're not cutting corners in the product process or in who we are and what we represent. So I think that one allowed us to really like break through and people leaving our story. And then once they taste the product, they're like, oh, they're serious, right? They're serious about what they do. So I think that was super helpful. But, you know, back in the days when we first started, we went to Tails for the first time, I want to say 2013 or 2012. And we went and we were like, me and Eddie were like, let's go on the street too. Let's go to accounts and see if we could open up some accounts in New Orleans. And dude, there was people pulling out their shotguns to chase us out the store because we look different than that traditional sound, right? And I was like, oh shit, we're in trouble, you know. But we kept that and said, okay, this is just par for the course. Like, people don't know us from a brand perspective, but also not from a cultural perspective where we're different. We look different than the traditional, you know, maker of something. And so we were like, let's break the wall down. Let's just kick it down by being true to ourselves. And, you know the rest of the story.
Word. See, that's what I love about y'all too. Cause like, I didn't know y'all. I remember I was at my bar one day and one of my boys here in Chicago, I guess he's ran across you at one point. And he was like, yo, you know my man Jomaree? I'm like, nah. He's like, yo, he got a bitters company. I was like, all right, well, I'll check him out. He didn't remember the name, nothing. A couple weeks later, I saw y'all in an article, I think in Tasty or something. I saw y'all in an article. I'm like, that's what he was talking about. At this time, didn't know you, didn't know it. I said, well, let me just check it out. Found it in a random store. It was like a mom and pop shop. You know what I mean? Found her, and like you said, I enjoyed the taste of it. I was like, oh, wow, this is dope. Started putting it on the menus. And then when we met in Portland, was maybe 3-4 years ago now, we met in Portland. You did the class in Portland. I was like, oh, yeah, they real. And for me, I appreciate that about y'all. So I got to give you flowers for that for y'all.
I appreciate
y'all didn't sell out. Y'all didn't, y'all don't step and fetch. You know what I mean? Like, y'all are y'all. And I really appreciate that about you, about your brand, about the friendship, as well as business that we've been able to develop over the years. So I would take my hat off, but I ain't been to the barbershop. So to you for that, man. But what was the driving force? So y'all have bitters. If I look up here, I got every flavor that y'all have. What made y'all say, okay, now that we got our stake in the bitters, we're going to move over to NA Bev? Because now that's a whole nother beast, right? And that's like a whole nother category. Even though it's all NA for the most part, it's like a whole nother category. What made y'all do that?
Let me tell you, man, like, so back in the days, shout out to the bitters and soda.
All the time. Oh, hey, just so y'all know, before he does that, he ain't send me these bottles. You know what I'm talking about? I went and bought them.
Hey,
so support black business.
Hey, yo. Support that narrative all day. But man, let me tell you the insight. So the way we built the company, right, was, of course, we went to bars and restaurants and asked every bartender, yo, taste this out, check this out. And people, in New York, people were fronting on us heavy, like, eat it, scrap. So
Right.
it's funny. It's like music, right? Like outside in, right? You go
Mhm.
further away and people love you, and then you come back home and they're like, "Oh, we got your shit." You're like,
Yeah.
"Thanks, man." You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? Could have been easier, but cool. I
Yeah.
respect the game. But what happened was when we were doing that, at the simultaneously we were going to our retail accounts, like those mom and pop shops, right? Like the Meadow, Whisk. There was a bunch of them that are in New York that we would go to, and we say, "Let us taste out your consumer base on our products. Let us show that it works and people like it." So what we would do is instead of just letting people take, bitters on the inlet of their hand, we pour it in like soda water or put in lemonade, or some people could like understand the nuance and the complexity to the actual concentrate.
Mhm.
And so we would pour it in soda water. People would be like, do you have that? Do you have the stuff you just poured me?
Right,
We were
yeah.
like, yeah, we know that we need it in a different vessel. We know it needs to go in a different vessel to really communicate the flavor profile that we're creating in this like concentrate, right? Because we know you go through a bottle of bitters, you got the bottle of bitters for 6 months in the crib or whatever it is. And so we're like, we need the different vessel because the flavor is so good. We need to tell that story. This is like 5 or 6 years ago when we had the insight, but we didn't have the capital, the infrastructure, the expertise to transition it into like a can. We didn't have that yet. And so we just took our time. Like, okay, let's keep doing this and building community, building product, making stuff good, getting into the right retailers, talking to the right, bartenders, and making sure that the product has a community base around it, so that when we do crack the code on this bitters and soda, we'll be able to put it in that space and have respect and credibility because we built our brand. So that's what we did. Right? We've had this insight forever that we wanted to put it in this NA spot. And then we always knew that we wanted choice, right? We built Hella from the bitter standpoint because we didn't like what was on the market. No disrespect, we didn't like it. It wasn't us. The brand didn't speak to me. It was old. It's in my grandmother's closet like that. It wasn't me. It's all love, but it was like, where's us? You know what I'm saying? Where's our shit? And so that's when we built the bitters part of the brand. At the same time, it was like, well, I might want to drink tonight. I might not. I got a meeting at Monday morning at 8 a.m., but I still want to feel like I'm not having a LaCroix. And so it was like, let's offer choice along the journey because everyone doesn't drink. You can mix our shit if you want to, but you can also have it, my daughter, she's 22 months, she crack a bitters and soda and chug it, right? And so like, what's better than making something your own chugs that? And so I wanted to be able to offer choice along the journey, right? Because that's what life is about. So,
man, I love that. I love that. So, this last year, even with the pandemic that we've been in, of course, and then also with the heightened social unrest and things that's going on in the world, Black businesses have been like pushed to the forefront. Everybody support Black business, support Black business. As a Black business owner, what are some things you would like to see in the marketplace change or adjust, or just some things you would like to see implemented going forward?
Yeah, man. I mean, there's so many things. I want to the overarching theme that I want to make sure that I communicate and express is that I want to make sure that the narrative of supporting Black-owned businesses stays in front. Right. A lot of times we get this to the spot and then it kind of like trickles back. Financing and economics is like the ground level. It's what drives everything else. We want to see people play football. We want to see things happen in the marketplace. But only the economics dictate whether or not those things happen. We got to make sure that we support each other in business because that is really the tentacle that makes all the other things happen. It makes everyone else accountable, right? We want to have ideologies that are up and to the right and feel good, but without the economics, it's like a hoop dream, right?
Exactly.
And so that's first and foremost. But things like having space in every component. Like you go to a retail set in let's call it a grocery store, and there's an ethnic aisle. I don't even know what the fuck that means. But there's an aisle that says ethnic. I want to see an aisle. I want to see space that's carved out so we know where it's at. We know that we're supported in our own space, that we're in our own communities, right? So I just want to see some recognition. I don't know if that's a label on a bottle or whatever that says like minority owned or black led or whatever the thing is. We need something that says non-GMO. You know what I'm saying? So that we know this is what we're creating, we're doing it. And we can choose, right? We can have a choice in our actions of whether or not to support it. When you see Goya, you know exactly what that means.
Absolutely.
Right? So you don't have to, you don't have to, and when it's in the ethnic aisle, it's not from here. Right. So I just, on the retail side, that on the, overall, I want to see people get in places of power, right? Because what makes Hella for us like possible and official, as far as I'm concerned, is we have different perspectives. Our power is that I am the Black leader, but I'm not the only person that has decision-making power, right? Because we have different perspectives that are completely different, that actually makes us stronger because I can't see my blind spot, right? They can. And so the opposite of that is us being in other positions of power because it's good business, right? It's good business, right? That we have things that we can see that no one else can see. But and the last thing I want to see is I want to see us kind of build our own, right? I want to see us build our own ecosystems so that we're completely reliant on a third party that's telling us who and when, what time we could enter, right? So part of this mission is all about also financing, other companies that are in spaces like ours so that we control distribution, manufacturing, supply chain, marketing, right? We don't own those pieces. So no matter what product we think we make and we're supporting, someone else is making that physical product. And it ain't us. So dollars are always going out versus in. So we need to make sure that we do all three things collectively.
Word. Hey, I told y'all it's gonna be a masterclass today. I told y'all it was gonna get real. We got some sharp people on here, man. Before I wrap you up though, bro, I know it's a bartender watching this or that follows you, follows me, that they got their bitters at home or they got their own, NA Bev mixes at home that they're doing. I see a lot of people on internet, cocktail kits and they selling drinks out the crib and all that. I love the hustle. What's one real dope piece of advice you would want to give that up and coming person that's trying to get into the marketplace?
Man, there's a few, but I'll give you one. One is truly no lie. Learn the ecosystem you're operating in, right? Because a lot of people have an idea, and the idea is good, but if they don't understand the unit economics of building that thing and bringing it to market and how to do that, because they didn't learn the ecosystem, they didn't learn you got to figure out how to get the raw materials, right? You got to figure out where to get the vessel of whatever you're creating. You got to figure out the packaging. If you don't figure out all the economics along that value chain before you execute your idea, you're already in trouble. Right. Because you're going to launch it and say it's at $5 and the market's going to tell you it costs you $5 to make it. You're out of business.
Yep.
Right. So you need to know the economics behind what your idea is about first and foremost. But more importantly than that, the way you do that is by finding other people that are doing what you're doing. Right, because they save you time, effort, energy, and money. So find people that are doing what you want to do and reach out. But at the same time, don't discount your value the fact that you don't have experience necessarily in that space is actually valuable. Right. So make sure you take account of your lack of expertise in that space and make it an asset versus think it's a shortcoming.
Word. I love that, man. Hey, let the folks know how to find you, man. If anybody wants to reach out to you, to holler at you, want to get product to get some game and some knowledge
for sure.
Let them know.
I love paying it forward. I call it living richly. I've heard that before from someone else and I borrowed it. I live richly by paying it forward. So, if anyone wants to learn, wants to know whatever the mathematics are, I'm at Jomaree Pinkard on Instagram. Or you can find me at Hella Cocktail Co. On the product side. So give us a shout out. Let me know what's good. Josh knows I always respond.
Always, brother. Hey, look. Well, cheers to you, King. I appreciate you, man. You already know, from a father to a father, I appreciate you. You know what I mean? Go Chicago, New York Knicks. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? And hopefully those Chicago Bulls, Knicks will be all right. You know what I mean?
Give me some more D Rose and we got it.
All right, brother. Hey, thank you, man, for being on. We've done this a few times back and forth, but I really appreciate you coming on, man, sharing your knowledge with everybody.
Of course. Peace, King.
Peace. All right, y'all. So, that was our first guest, man. Like I told y'all, it's only going to get better from there, man. It's like, Black business owners, man. It's a ton of us out here. There's a ton in the comments. I already know there's a ton on Instagram. I see everybody out here moving and shaking. This last year in the pandemic has shown that, we are super creative and we know how to survive and make it happen. So let's take some of those ideas and let's get them out there. But let's also find people like the Jomarees of the world where we can get that knowledge from that's already established, that they can, come back and help the next man pull up. So with that being said, before we get to our next guest, you already know we're going to do the second commercial of the day, Campari Community. Follow them on Instagram. I'm going to tell y'all this like 4 more times. I don't know why y'all just don't just do it. You know what I mean? Or y'all should just put it in the comments for me so everybody else sees it. Go to Campari Community on Instagram and then sign up for the Campari mailing list. Again, you get stuff in the mail that you don't know you need until you have it. I remember one day, about a month or two ago, I got a coloring book. Now, I ain't had a coloring book since the 80s. You know what I mean? But one night, I was hanging out with the kids, and we were coloring. You know where I got that from? Campari. So, again, it was a fun time. It was a way to show my children what I do for a living, some of the people that I get to work with. And so it helps them appreciate what I do, and also gives them a sense of, wow, like, okay, you can work for yourself, like we're doing this Black business thing. You can work for yourself, and you can partner with companies, and you can continue to push the culture forward. So that being said, now the commercial's out the way, let's move to our next guest. Our next guest, I don't know that well. I've been stalking her Instagram for the last week or so. First of all, I got hungry as soon as I looked at her Instagram. I wanted to decorate my house with flowers and floral arrangements when I looked at her Instagram. And she's just an amazing soul. And what I did was I said, I'm gonna just stop stalking and we're just gonna have a conversation. And I'm gonna get to know Chef. You got to say it right, Chef Keshia Hay. Will you please come on screen, love?
Yes. Hi.
Yeah, I was gonna say Miss, but I'm like, no, that's not respectful. I got to give her proper Chef Keshia.
Thank you.
You know what I'm saying?
Thank you.
So I have to do that. So like I did with Jomaree, I'm gonna get out the way because they see enough of me. They need to see more of you. Go ahead and just tell your story, how you got started, and how you got to the point to where you are now.
Awesome. So Sip and Bite, for me, it originates. I started private chefing on the side back in 2014. I did not go to culinary school. I went to fashion design school. So I studied fashion design and merchandising. And, but I will say it goes a little bit further back than that, because I found food at the same time that I found fashion, but fashion kind of took my interest first.
Yeah.
But with food, for me, transitioning out of the design world, I didn't feel like I was coming much out of design, because you can still design with food. So graduating college, we were able to take a trip to France. And I was already kind of teetering on what I wanted to do with my career moving forward. Now that I decided I'm not moving to New York to design a whole collection, I need to figure out something else. So going to France, that just kind of solidified some things that were going on in my mind already. I've been in food and beverage since I was 15. My dad and my uncle and cousin had all started a wing restaurant here in Nashville at first it was called Buffalo Express, and then they changed it to Knockout Wings. So that was my first actual restaurant job.
Go ahead.
Yep. And so from there, I kind of dabbled in and out of kind of food and beverage. I did a little bit of work in retail space, but that was not for me. But I just always had this love and rush for service and for food. And, within all of that, I had started bartending as just like a backup job in college. And that opened up my world as well, because of the place I was bartending at was a country club. And so I got introduced to a bunch of different cuisines, different events, different occasions going on. I was able to taste, ask questions. So kind of marrying the two worlds together as I'm having my school crisis and career, trying to figure that out. That's where Sip and Bite was born.
Wow.
And 2014 all the way up to 2019, I was doing this part-time. I was had multiple hustles on top of a full-time job. I had 3 part-time jobs, and then I was still private chefing. What I was starting off with was more like hors d'oeuvre style or small bites. That's what I love. I love to be able to have a bunch of little things so that I can be able to taste all the things. So to be able to cook in that style for me gave me those creative options. And so I, kind of based Sip and Bite around that, but it's expanded to so much more. And finally in 2019, I took the leap. I left my full-time job and I said, you know what? The universe is calling for me to be able to do this on my own. As scary as it was, I knew that that's what I had to do. I mean, I've known I was going to be an entrepreneur since I was little. Like, I knew I was meant to work for myself. It was just, how do I go about this the right way? And there really is no right way. You just have to just trust in yourself, right? And have the community and support behind you. And that's what I had. Even though I kind of panicked, after I said, you know what, I'm done, in the most graceful way, I still printed off my resume, tried to pass it around that next week, and it just didn't happen for me that anything stuck. And I literally was in a grocery store shopping for a client event, trying to figure out life. And I had a lady who we are great friends now, contacting me, and she's like, hey, you're doing an event for a friend of mine, but would you be available for, this cocktail party that we're hosting for about 60 people? And I was like, yes, I am. I do have the time. And she's like, oh, and while you're at it, because she was in corporate, she was like, well, have you ever thought about doing like private corporate dinners, meetings, whatever? And I'm like, absolutely. And she was my very, very first client. So I had to not only go off of faith within myself, but faith to know that, those people will come. If you open up the space, you are allowing for those opportunities to come in versus having to have every single little thing, planned out.
Word.
And I haven't looked back. I have no plans on looking back.
Dope. So two things. One, two of my homies I used to hoop with back in the day. They played Tennessee State, so I would go down there. And then one of my best friends she went to Fisk.
Yep.
So I've had your family's wings already. So it's funny that we were talking about those wings in pre-production. And I'm like, yeah. And then when you said it, that's why I was like, whoa. So I already know the quality.
You know about the biscuits.
This is not a commercial, y'all. I know what they do. So I'm trying to go to Nashville really, really soon again.
Yeah. Well, unfortunately, my uncle has closed down the business.
Oh.
It went strong for 15 years.
Yeah.
My dad had to kind of step back after a while just due to his health. But I get a lot of my passion from him.
That was my next question. Like, where do you drive your passion from? Where you get your inspiration, from?
So my passion, my inspiration, as far as when it came to the arts, very much derivative from not just my dad, but my grandmother, my mom's mom. She was like the baker. And then my dad's mom, she was like the style. And so she did not like to cook if she didn't have to. So, but in that sense, she taught me how to, present, how to make the space look beautiful. Yep. Whatever it is that I was going to do, make sure you do it right the first time, clean as you go, do all these things. And then, the endearing part of that came from my mom's mom, who's the baker, and just the love of feeding, and then getting that drive and that passion from my dad, because, he wanted to go far in food, but his body just didn't allow. And so for me, kind of taking all of that and then, having the support, my best friend from fourth grade, we're still best friends now. It's my sister. She was really, really super encouraging of my creative side, her and my mom very much so. But, we would play around in the kitchen, mess things up. I burnt her microwave one time. I mean, I have had many culinary adventures, but, I derive my passion from my friends and my family around me. And then just things in the world, nature, art, as you all can see, flowers are everywhere. They take over every bit of my space, and just beauty, and the connecting story, which food plays a huge part of for me. It's a way for me to tell my story and to share, bits of me, but I also, recognize it's a very intimate thing to feed someone. So when you're feeding someone, you do it with full heart and mind because you taste that, right? So,
No, I love it. I love it. Wow. And I can tell you've done this before because you're answering like all the questions I have for you. You're answering them with your responses. So you're making it so easy for me. Well, how did the last year, of course, we've all been at home.
Yeah.
And most people didn't want other people in their home. And, along with you, I would do private, cocktail events and things like that in people's homes. Yeah. And I moved over to a virtual space to do cocktail classes and stuff like that. How were you able to, sustain the business during that? I was going to ask you about the virtual supper club.
Yeah. Yep.
You know what I mean? So how were you able to sustain and continue to move forward, even though for people like you and I that we do it privately, that put a hell of a damper on what we do.
It does make it a little tricky. And, the thing is that, how you kind of like set yourself up in situations beforehand that then resurface later. That's exactly what ended up happening for me. And so S&B Virtual Supper Club came about. So I was with my boyfriend. We were visiting family. This is literally when COVID happened. Everything was locked down. I was all la-di-da until it was time to come back. And I was like, oh, shit. What am I going to do? Because reality was hitting me in the face. Like, those events or those clients that would come a week, 2 weeks, a month out, certain things that were planned, all that had gotten, had been put on pause just because nobody knew what was going to happen. And so for me, I went into not necessarily survival mode, but I worked my best under pressure. And I was just kind of pulling from, all right, well, I've already kind of done, somewhat packaged meals for clients, not anything specific to anything, just they wanted something delivered and something nice. And so in that instance, I had already that experience. And then I was noticing a lot of the restaurants around town here, some of them were not set up to do to go. And some of them, if they were to go, they were kind of offering like family meals and things like that. And I'm like, that's great. And that has a space. Mm-hmm. But for me, that's not me. So how do I marry the two to bring the experience that I bring to my clients? How do I bring that into a space where it is COVID friendly, where, it's worth the price that, I'm putting out there, and that it's a full thing, not just here's your pasta and your salad. Okay, bye. I want to give you something a little bit more. So between my boyfriend and my friend, Rhonda, they were both just like, maybe you can come up with a menu and drop that every single week and see, who wants to buy it, and, just try to figure it out that way. And so it took me a little bit of time and research just to make sure that what I was doing, I did it the way that I wanted to do it. And so we launched April, and the other essential thing for me is community and collaboration. And so having my community of women, specifically women-owned businesses, to come together, I was like, I know I can't do this by myself. I know I can make a beautiful meal and package it and make it all that great, but I want to add all those other elements that I know I can do it, but I don't want to do that because that doesn't help anybody, right? And I also want to be able to help other women who maybe their businesses have stopped because of COVID. So I brought in my friend who does flowers, who her business literally had to stop. She was servicing for hotels and no one was coming. Yeah. So I had flowers, for every single package, and that was included in your price. Another girlfriend who's got her cordial company, that's an add-on. Another friend her and her dad just opened up a chocolate shop right in the middle of the pandemic. I had bonbons on as an add-on so that people were aware that they were in the space, but they don't have to leave their house. I can make this all a full package thing for you. I put together a playlist for every single month. Oh, wow. And just in case, you want music, you don't want to have to shuffle through.
Okay. All right, guys. Well, Keshia will be back in 1 second. We'll get her back. I don't know what just happened, but hey, it's a live show. We got to keep it moving. To producer, I guess we'll go to the early commercial for Campari Community. But we'll get Keshia back so she can finish her story in one moment. But hey, everybody, while we're here, go to the Campari Community, sign up on the mailing list. Hey, this is what happened with live shows, right? It's all good. We'll get her right back so she can continue this amazing story. But in the midst of us getting Keshia back, we'll move over to our featured bartender for a moment, and then we'll bring Keshia back, because what better way than to end the show with her amazing story. So our featured bartender she's back? Oh, super producer just told me she's back, so let's get her back on screen.
I'm back. Sorry, guys.
I was like, it was getting good. I was like, oh.
Yes. So to kind of finish that, I just brought in women businesses that I felt like, was going to help me complete the package.
That's dope.
And have every single month that was a different theme, different, inspiration for each theme. Last June, I actually did Summer Solstice, and that's SOUL. And it was all inspired by African-American women poets. And so that whole entire month, each meal was inspired by a different piece of poetry. And I had worked with a local poet here in Nashville, Sienna Roos, who helped me put those things together.
Okay.
And, the thing that kind of fed my soul was hearing clients that I had never had before or never been introduced to until now. They were like, that made my whole entire COVID, that made my quarantine, to be able to have that to look forward to, and to just be able to enjoy that and have at least a night off of not thinking about, all the things going on in the world.
Word. So I'm gonna ask you a similar question as Jomaree, but I love the perspective from being a Black woman. for a Black women-owned business, what are some things you would like to see in the marketplace change? Like I know, like when I mentioned in the intro, like we don't even speak about, even in tragedy, it seems like Black women don't get, the same amount as men. And I want to try to do a better job of that. I encourage everyone else to do the same thing. So what are some things in the marketplace that you would like to see changed or adjusted or implemented going forward?
Right. I mean, honestly, some of the things that I would absolutely love, especially being in the city that I'm in, is genuine support.
Mm-hmm.
And, knowing that, okay, number one, I'm not pigeonholed to any one type of cuisine. Not all Black women make soul food all the time. It is definitely something in my repertoire, but I have so much more range. And I'm proud of all of that. I'm proud of my heritage. And also, but I want you to see that I can do other things. And so I want to be genuinely supported, not when it comes to June or February or a tragedy where everybody's gone silent, or they're putting together a list of names of people to support. And then a month later, we're back where we are, and to be able to have that fair space, just like, because, let's face it, in this industry, it's white male dominated. You know what I mean? And so it's, white male, white female, Black male, and then everyone else. And sometimes, unfortunately, we kind of get put at the bottom, unless we either have the right connections or have the right PR. And so what I would like to see is just that genuine support of, just like he was saying before, I want you to be able to make space for me. Don't categorize me as a Black chef.
Yeah.
I know that that's what I am. And even being a Black woman chef, being heard, being listened to, having my perspective understood just like anyone else in this situation. And that was one of the things working behind the line. I unfortunately felt categorized as, if I came in and it was a bad day, oh, well, she's just angry. We can't talk to her. We don't know if we can, oh, well, your attitude is just shifted. We don't know. And it's like, just respect me for my craft. Obviously, I know that there's programs out there. There's, things put in place for grants and stuff like that. But I just feel like it should just be so much more. I shouldn't be working my butt off this hard for someone else to come in who maybe has had a year experience and they just blown up all over social media. And I'm still over here. You know what I mean? Like, it's nuts.
I know all too well what you mean. That's some of the conversations I've had. We definitely should have that conversation as well, because I see it a lot too. But before I get you out of here, so for that person who's on Instagram selling plates, or person like myself who I'm barbecuing for people in my neighborhood and they're paying me to do what I do, what was the best advice you would give somebody who, like you said, has the same story, didn't go to culinary school, just got a hustle, but they want to turn it into a viable business and career and just just something that they love to do? What's some of the advice you would love to give someone?
I would say absolutely, like, the thing that has helped me and that I tell everyone, get a mentor. Get someone who has been in this space, obviously someone who's a little older than you, because they've seen it. Maybe they're not going through the same exact experiences that you are. But for me, having a mentor, when I was making that decision, I felt like, because I only had 48 hours to give my job a yes or a no. And she, in that space, said, okay, well, you know that this is what you want to do. Let's write down your life's purpose and your mission statement. And if things do not align with your life's purpose or your mission statement, then don't do it. Don't put yourself in positions where you're saying yes to everything.
Yeah.
And demand your price. Demand that people pay your price. Even if it is a fish plate, even if it is barbecue, you still had to put work into it. Absolutely. You still had to put effort into it. Packaging. I mean, let's not even talk about packaging. That's a whole beast of a situation. But, obviously being confident in yourself that that you're getting exactly what you're asking for, and add tax and gratuity because you worked hard. You know what I mean? And you in no way should be or feel devalued, or someone say, oh, well, it's just this. Why am I paying? Because that was something that I struggled with, even at a younger age. In high school, I made prom dresses, and I had the hardest time of trying to figure out how much should I charge for these prom dresses. And so that was no different going into food. Well, how much is my time worth? And once you put a value on your worth, I mean, it's going to weed out all those who don't take you seriously.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to open up the space to bring people that actually do appreciate what you do. They're not patronizing you. They actually understand the value of the service that you're trying to provide. So having a mentor, who was formerly a private chef, she's a chocolate sommelier. That was one of the best, like she named her price. And if you don't pay it, then I can't do anything for you.
Right.
But also make sure that you can back whatever it is that you're putting out there. And,
that's
even exactly. And, even as something as basic, or not even basic, but as simple as presentation, quality and presentation, if anything else, that should be able to speak for it. But then you also have to be your marketing. You also have to be, the person to cheerlead for yourself, to say, I deserve this because I know what kind of work that I do. And I know how you're going to feel after you eat it or drink it or whatever. So.
Right. Queen, I appreciate you. Like, I had to pour me another drink. Like, like I told you, like, I legit been like stalking all your IG, your website. I was on your link tree. I'm like, she got a lot of dope stuff. And I was seeing things, but this 10, 12, 13-minute conversation, like, I appreciate everything that you're doing. I definitely hope we can collaborate in the future. For real.
Love that.
Like, I need to come down to Nashville. I can go ahead and make that little 8-hour drive, come down to Nashville and hang out. How can the people find you? If they're looking for you, if they want to get a virtual supper joint, how do they get to you?
Yep. So you can actually follow me on Instagram. I'm sip_in_bite_cocktail. And I do have my virtual supper club page as well. However, there's going to be a change to that because I'm starting a new little kind of side venture to my business. Because again, being creative, I have to have my hands in many pots and just being consistently stimulated in that sense. So I'm starting a new venture called Source for de Cuisine. And I'll have more information on that as well. But yeah, you can find me there. You can find me on my website, sipandbiteprivatechef.com. And, I look forward to all the new fun faces.
Oh, yeah. And I got to lead the people one thing. I love chicken.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? I love chicken. I'm inherently, like Dave Chappelle said, it's just something about us. You know what I mean?
We can't help it. It's good.
And I was going to save it for last. I wanted you to get out, all your socials and everything so people can know how to follow you. But I know that you brought us a wing recipe, and I would love for the people to see it because I'm going to make it.
Yes.
This weekend.
So this wing sauce, specifically, we're using the Espolon, the Añejo tequila. And so, when I came up with it, it was close to Cinco de Mayo. I was like, well, we love wings. And I'm always trying to figure out different flavor combinations, glazes. A lot of my recipes, I try not to do the same thing over and over again, but something like this, they're highly addictive. And it's that like perfect combination of sweet, savory, a little crispy, a little sticky. You've got the tequila in there. You've got a little bit of the salt, and just if you're going to do them, instead of having to obviously support your local place. But if you want to do them at home, just to do something a little bit different. And then also have a shot with the wings because
absolutely,
it's tequila. You can't not have a shot. But just having fun. And then, my extra touch was, putting in the nasturtium blossoms. And nasturtium, their blossoms, and then the actual leaves that bloom with it, they have a really beautiful peppery note. And so to me, that is adding another element of spice, but also beauty, because the nasturtium petals come in a variety of colors. Mostly warm colors, yellows, oranges, golds, reds. And it just takes it up a notch. It literally goes from like, oh, I got this for, $10, whatever, to it's restaurant quality now.
Right.
And you can plate it up and make it look really nice.
No, that's just, I'm making those this weekend. Don't worry about it.
Please.
And I'm glad you said nasturtium because I didn't know what that was. I was like, is them the flowers that the man in the club got? Like, I didn't know what it was. So, now that I know what it is, I'm going to go in the floor shop. Like, I need some nasturtium.
And make sure that they're untreated. So there's plenty of resources that you can, depending on where you are, a lot of your farmers are going to have them grown local, or you can go online and get the edible nasturtiums through Fresh Origins or Gourmet Sweet Botanical, and they're just beautiful.
Word. Say no more. We're going to do that. I hope y'all screenshotted Keshia's Tangy Tequila Wings. If you didn't screenshot it, I will be sure to repost this on Brown and Balance and on my personal page on Miss Mxologist. And we're going to enjoy some wings this weekend. Queen, thank you. I appreciate you.
Thank you so much.
For coming on. I'm going to let you get back in the green room with the fellas, and we're going to bring our featured bartender on because I already did the Campari commercial, so I ain't got to do it this time. So, our featured bartender this month, man, it's my dude, man. Me and this guy met probably 6-7 years ago. For a very long time, he was the Ghostface Killer bartending. Nobody knew what he looked like. You never saw his face. You know what I mean? Just like Ghostface said, when the face got revealed, the gang got real. I want to introduce my brother from Akron, Ohio, from LeBron country, my man Aaron Sparks to the scene. What's up, sir?
What's going on, brother? How you doing?
Hey, man, I came on here ready to get these jokes off on you, man. I really did because I love you, and you know how I do. If I love you, I'm going to crack on you. That's my love language. That's what we do, man. But two things for sure, man. I just want to thank you for being a part of this. You are Brown and Balance alumni. You've worked Brown and Balance, events in the past, man. So it's only right that we had you come on, man, and share your story with the people.
I appreciate that, man. I appreciate the opportunity to be a part of Brown and Balanced again. I can honestly say, I've never had a bad time in anything that we've ever done. And like I said earlier, I was waiting for this the whole time. I was waiting to see just what you was gonna say, because as people, the Instagram world don't know how you be treating me. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna get a jump on it. I'm gonna get a jump. This brother right here, he got me a curling iron for my birthday in front of the whole Portland cocktail crew.
I did. Hey, man, it's because I love you, man. That's all, man.
It's nothing but love, man. It was great. It was funny. I love that. But now
you got me back on my birthday.
You got
me back on my birthday. So
yes, sir.
Your wife came to the city and dropped some off for me, so I appreciate that, man. But with that, man, let's talk you, man. You have a very different, kind of story of how you got into the industry, man. So tell the people, like, I know it, because you haven't always been a bartender. You kind of fell into it. So tell the people, some of the things you were doing before bartending and how the opportunity presented itself and how you created Mxology 21. You didn't go the standard route. You didn't go just work at bars. You did your own thing and wanted to create a mobile bar service.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely. Before I even thought about becoming a bartender, it all literally started back in college. I was a big party boy way back then, so I was always at the clubs. I was always at the bar. I was an intern for Atlantic and Interscope Records, so I got an opportunity to hang out with a lot of bartenders, a lot of bar owners, and learn a little bit. I hung out at a lot of cocktail bars as I got a little bit older. Naturally, kind of picked up a little bit different style of drinking, so I wasn't doing shots of 151 anymore, killing myself. I started to actually, learn what alcohol tastes like, and I realized that, I like it. So for me, I wanted to see more of that because, we as a people, just especially how we are shown in the media, it's only one or two things. We pass in the Cavassier, we taking shots at Henny. We're not shown in the same light as other communities having, at the end of the day, taste. I'm just gonna go ahead and say it like that. Ain't nothing wrong with Billy D and his Colt 45, but you don't see us in the Grey Goose commercials. You don't see that. So for me, I wanted to showcase that we as a people can do the exact same things and even better. So I kind of just started picking things up on my own, learning, reading, doing a lot of Instagram following. I even tried bartending school for a hot second. I ain't had none of that. I was tired of that after like week 2. So I was done with that. And I realized that I don't want to be in a bar because for me I don't like having a boss. I like doing my own thing and doing it my own way. I don't really need to be seen a whole lot. So I appreciate that introduction. I never really thought of it that way, but one day I had the idea of kind of starting just a mobile thing, literally just showcasing people a better way of drinking, a better way of imbibing. And I had written everything down in a notebook, and I had talked to my wife about it. And At this point in time, I was working at First Energy, the electric company. It was a cold November day, and we had dress code. So I was in there with my church shoes and my slack pants, and it was like, I kid you not, man, it was like maybe 32 degrees.
Oh, wow.
At that point in time, we had the one car, and I was just sitting there talking to somebody on the phone, and they was, unruly because I was on the phones at that time. And I took my headset off. I was like, that's it. I'm done. I'm walking out, and I'm getting ready to start my own thing. And I left my job. I walked out, like literally. I didn't think this through. So it was like literally snowing and cold, and I'm walking down the street in these church shoes and these pants where the wind is literally ripping right through me. And I got like 2 blocks down, so I got to an apartment complex, and I had to call my wife to come pick me up because I wasn't gonna make it home because I was gonna die. So I got, she got to me, and I told her I quit my job and this is what I was gonna do. And she looked at me and asked me, was I joking and why wasn't I at work? And what we gonna do? So, I told her, I was like, no, I'm for real. I quit. I'm gonna do this. This is the thing that I'm gonna do. I'm gonna start a mobile bartending service, and this is it. Like this is going to be what I'm going to do. And she then looked at me again and said, okay, all right, well, get ready for work in the morning. Yeah, and it took a little bit of convincing, but she rolled with me with it. I can honestly say that my wife was a huge part of my business, especially in the beginning. I honestly, I can't say if it really, really wasn't, for her, I wouldn't have had half the success that I probably would have had, because she definitely was there in the beginning. She was shooting with me in the gym. She was picking out the shoes. So I got to give it up to her for that. But yeah, man, that's literally, kind of how it started. It was an idea one day of just doing something different and putting, us in a different place than we normally are, because I was just tired of seeing the same narrative. I was tired of seeing the same old story continuously. And I knew, I could do something different. I can do something better.
Word. I dig that, man. Shout out to Black Love, too, for your wife holding you down, man. I mean, for me, knowing your wife, man, is an amazing woman. So, and to put up with you every day, I get it. But with that, so what's funny about you having a mobile bartending service, so I have a new segment, and we have some other featured mobile bartenders coming on. So I'm glad to have you as the featured bartender so we can kind of give a preview. Like, a lot of people don't know like what goes into being a mobile bartender. A lot of people think you just show up and you just start slinging drinks, but you elevated that. You do it in a much different way. You create cocktails, you create experiences for your clientele. So like, what's some things, like it's a 2-part question. What's some things, one, that you faced, adversity as far as like getting yourself off the ground? Because again, you didn't come from that. Like when I started my mobile business, people around the city knew me from working in bars. So then when I didn't have a bar job and I started mobile bartending, I still had, my name was still out there. So people kind of knew me. So it was a little easier for me to create clientele in the beginning. So what is some adversity you faced during that? And then now that once you've established yourself, being in a smaller market, you're in Akron, you got Cleveland 30 minutes away. You got Toledo 30, 45 minutes away. Like, how did you differentiate yourself and able to take over that Northeast Ohio area?
You're absolutely right. A lot of people do think, you just show up and start pouring drinks and that's it. That's all. And that's not even the beginning. That's the last portion of it. So the biggest part of adversity that I faced in the beginning was literally, like you said, I was unknown. And even more so, the mobile bartending aspect was almost virtually unknown in Northeast Ohio. It wasn't something that, it was a lot of or very prevalent. So I started out, honestly, I got some business cards when I had absolutely no business. I had no bar. I had nothing. I just got some business cards made from Vistaprint, and I would go to every single networking event that I could. A lot of them were in Cleveland, so I definitely hit all the Jumpstart networking events, and I would just be everywhere. And I would talk to literally everybody I could. Anybody who would listen to me. I would talk to, and I would tell them what I'm doing, or get them a business card, or see, what type of things that they had going on, or how I could fit myself in, or, what do you guys like to do? Do you think you need a bartender for this event, that event? I would literally just kind of peg them for all the information they could, get them a business card, and then be on to the next one. And then I would do like 2 or 3 networking events, sometimes a night. I would get off work, be at home, change my clothes, and then be up the road in like 20, 25, 30 minutes and be gone for like 3 or 4 hours, literally handing out business cards, getting my name up, and just trying to learn literally what people will. That started, and then I got an opportunity to start volunteering as a bartender in a lot of other events, showcasing what I could do, coming up with my own different cocktails, things of that particular nature. And at that point in time, that's when things started to start picking up a little bit. I started to learn a little bit more of exactly, the marketing techniques of what people are looking for, where a bartender is going to be needed, and more importantly, what you're going to need to actually get the job done. After that, the biggest set of adversity is being known as the worker and the bartender. Because most of the time, in the beginning, I was carrying the bar in, I was carrying all the stuff, and people would tell me, put this there, put that there, and like, oh, when's the bartender going to get there? When's Aaron going to get there? And then people will be shocked and appalled that I'm like, yeah, I'm Aaron. Hey, yeah, and I remember one guy. He's like, you must just be the muscle, man. Like, you're carrying it all. He's like, wow, you must be really good with the owner. He must let you just go everywhere. And it took me took everything in me, at that point in time, not to go to the other side of things, but it was it shocked him. His jaw literally dropped. I'm like, yeah, I am real good with the owner. No, he's a great guy. And then I told him, like, actually, I'm going to go outside and I'm going to go get him. So, you can tell him all that yourself. I walked outside, took off my jacket, put on my shirt with my logo on it, came inside. I was like, hey, were you looking for the owner? He's like, yeah. I was like, hey, then I introduced myself. He had no idea what to say at that point in time, because it had been from, me on the phone, me setting everything up, me carrying the bar in, and then me being your bartender, and then me being the owner. You don't really know exactly what way to go, because now you're expecting, and let's just be honest, you're not expecting me.
Right.
Especially when you hear people on the phone, and I'm gonna go ahead and get it. A lot of people say on the phone, I got my white guy voice on the phone. So especially when you come to the event and you see me, and I'm not a small black man by any standpoint, it changes the complete narrative. Right. You're shocked, you're surprised, you weren't expecting that, and that was the biggest thing, that I would see on a consistent basis, because here in this market, as you said, it's not a large market. We see a lot of our customers are among the Caucasian base. We don't have a lot of us don't really have large scale events in which we are needed. And that's something, else that I'm looking at changing going into this year and going into next year. So, fighting for that spot amongst the places and amongst the people who don't expect you to be there is always a huge, huge piece of adversity that, we're always jumping through.
Yeah, word. I mean, I can say that I personally hired you for an event in Ohio.
Yes, sir.
You know what I mean? I was out there and, family event, and you came through, and I mean, I've got nothing but glowing reviews. And I didn't let the family know that I knew you. I just said, "Oh, I found a bartender," because I wanted them to. I didn't want them to have a biased opinion.
Right.
No, that's one of Josh's homies. So yeah, I know it's gonna be good. No, we're gonna hire Mxology 21, and we're gonna have him come do this. This milestone event for a family member, and it was great. I mean, I had a ball. The entire family had a ball, so I know what type of service that you bring. I can say for a fact that I remember when I first got into like mobile bartending, it was back like 2007, 2008. Wasn't that many out there. Now I look on Instagram, dude, I see everybody is a mobile bartender. Like everybody. They're, whether you got training, whether you don't have training, everybody has their stick, everybody has their brand. And I mean, I love seeing it, but what are some things that you would love to tell some of those more? So you're established, like, you've been out here for some years. So what's some things for those, those Instagram bartenders that's coming up What's some things you would like to share with them that kind of helped you along the way?
Learn is the biggest thing. You're gonna go through a great deal of growing pains in your business, both professionally and, more important, personally. At the end of the day, this is not easy. It looks great. It looks fun, and it most certainly is. I can definitely attest from starting to now. I've had hills and valleys of success, and I won't call them failures, but not so much success. So you're definitely, you need to take the time out to most importantly learn about your clientele, learn about your area. Because one of the first things I actually did do is, I stalked you for the first time, long time ago, and I reached out to you, which is actually, I think that's how we really met. Because I wasn't sure about a lot of things. So you're gonna want to find somebody who knows what they're doing or who has done what you're doing, and you're gonna want to try and learn as much as you possibly can from them. It all looks good to have a trailer or have these great Instagram photos and be out here doing 2 and 3 events. But once it starts to get to 4 events on Saturday, 5 events on Sunday, or staff start calling off, or people just don't show up, or the customer is upset because of this, that, or the third, or you ran out of ice, or everything that can happen will happen inside of this, especially once you start doing your own thing. Yeah. So you want to make sure that you take the time to learn as much as you possibly can when you can, so you can hopefully avoid some pitfalls and mistakes. Knowledge, they say knowledge is power, but knowledge is not power. Knowledge is only potential. Applying that knowledge, that is when you get that actual power, and understanding when to apply that knowledge is literal wisdom. So that's a quote, that I've kept close with me for many years, because it's helped me through a lot of trials and tribulations on this side. It's a lot of fun. It can always be great. It can always be fun, but you want to make sure you just take the time to learn. You don't want to jump out too early and think it's all about the money, or being on Instagram or being on Facebook and trying to be famous. You want to take time to learn and grow, because like you just said, now everybody doing it. Before, it was only a handful of people who were doing it at a particular level, and now everybody trying to jump in the game. And like anything, all that does is water it down. Yep. So you want to make sure that you gather enough knowledge and understanding so that you can weather the upcoming storm.
Absolutely. Now, man, let's talk about this cocktail, brother, because you made sweet potato simple syrup. Now I came up with some wild recipes. I've never thought to make, and I love sweet potatoes. I've never thought to make, sweet potato simple syrup. And I remember you called me about it, and we spoke about, maybe how to prep. So tell everybody about your cocktail. What was your inspiration? You know what I mean? And just, kind of describe what the taste is like.
Okay. Well, I was making a couple drinks for my wife one afternoon, and it was a margarita. She's a big margarita fan. So I was also looking at building a different cocktail for a different whiskey that I was working with. And I wanted something that was going to bring out a lot of the earth tones in that whiskey. So I knew Espolón was a good tequila to kind of go with, just because of the earthy tones you get from it. It's already got a lot of spice notes. You get a lot of cinnamon and vanilla aroma and flavor from it. So I knew that was definitely going to be the one I used. So the inspiration behind it was creating just a different type of margarita. Nothing too sweet, nothing too sharp. Because, a lot of the margaritas that we see are basically like blueberry or strawberry or something mad basic, just like that, to be completely honest. So I wanted something that was going to highlight the spirit while still getting you a growth of tones across the palate. So I just figured add in the sweet potato simple syrup to it. The nutmeg and the sage are going to help bring out the vanilla and the earth tones from the tequila. Mix it up a couple different times, and honestly, that's how we got it. Word. It was literally, honestly, just trial and error, and I was just inspired by trying to create something new, something different, something classic. You know, I like something that's still simple, but not too out the gate.
Word. No, I love it, man. That's thinking outside the box, and I'm all about thinking outside the box, and like you said, changing narrative and just upping your style, man. That's an amazing cocktail. I'm gonna try to remake the sweet potato simple, and here at home one day and recreate this cocktail, man. So, with that being said, brother, I just want to say thank you for coming on. We've done this, like I said, you and me. I just thought about it. You were the Espelon cabin counselor at Camp Willamuk, so that was a perfect marriage for you to have Espelon as your featured spirit, man. But me and you've been up and down the road. We've made drinks all over the country together, literally Portland, Kentucky, Ohio, all of that, man. I just want to say I've seen you from the beginning. I love the growth you've had, man. Anything I can do to help you already know I got you, man. So, let people know how to get up with you. I see you got some bottle cocktails out there on the market a little bit. So let people know how to find you, how to get in touch with you, how to get in contact with you.
You can find me at Mxology21 on Instagram and Mxology21.com. The website is being rebuilt currently again, so it should be back up next week, but also Mxology21 on Facebook. So feel free to reach out. You can take a look at our bottled cocktails there on Facebook and on Instagram. I appreciate everything from you too, brother. As you said, it's been many years, and this is way past the industry for me and you. And I appreciate every opportunity that I've had with you and the growth that I've been able to have, just because of those opportunities. So, I got to give you your props as well. Like I said, I stalked you in the beginning, and you were the very first person that I reached out to. So, I owe you a piece of thanks as well, because you helped get me started.
You don't owe me, dog. You doing your thing. You were already, like I'll tell anybody else, man, y'all already a star. Y'all just needed somebody to put the light on you. So you don't owe me, bro. Like seeing your growth and other people's growth that, we've all been able to collaborate and build along the way. That's what means the most to me, man. So absolutely. I like seeing more black faces in the space. You know what I mean? Like I told you, show your face. That was one thing I told you. Let people know what you look like, dog. Like literally the ghost face of, the industry for a while, man. So, hey, I appreciate you. Y'all, if y'all in Northeast Ohio, if y'all in the surrounding areas, man, get up with Aaron Sparks of Mxology21. We got another Ohio bartender that's coming later, because I'm going to make sure those two collaborate and they get busy too. So,
this weekend.
Y'all this weekend?
This weekend.
Okay, well, I'm going to wait till she comes on Brown and Balance in a future episode. We're going to talk to her about y'all this weekend. Now, that's what I love to see, man. So I appreciate you. Yo, that was Brown and Balance, guys. So we're going to bring all our guests back on the screen. If everybody's still in the green room, Chef's here. I don't know, Jomaree's still here. Maybe probably somewhere with a Knicks jersey on. You know what I mean? Getting ready for the night. So the one thing I like to do before we sign off, I like to give you guys the floor. Is there anything you want to leave everybody who tuned in today with? Ladies first, of course. So Keshia, anything you want to leave the people with?
Yeah, just, just continue to follow and do things that align with your passion and your mission, because at the end of the day, nobody can take that away from you, and you don't have to say yes to everything. No is a very powerful word in self-care, and just, paying recognition to those who came before you. I feel like what comes up quite a lot, what's come up here lately a lot, is the whole sense of appropriation, right? And so I think what even as Black people that we can do is making sure that we honor where our origins and where things that we get inspired by, making sure that we pay homage to that. Everybody doesn't do that. And so I feel like it's really important to continue to do that for yourself, and be your own cheerleader, and just take care of mind, body, and spirit.
I love that. Sparks, what you got?
First, Chef Keshia, your entire segment was inspiring. That I loved every piece of that. I love that. If I had to leave anything, I would have to say at the end of the day, don't stop. Don't stop. You are going to fall. You are going to trip. As long as you land on your back, if you can look up, you can get up. So don't stop.
Word. Love that. Hey, I'm gonna leave y'all with this, man. Tell your people you love them. Everybody's been following Brown Balance. Y'all know I've had a traumatic couple months, man. We just lost 2 more of my homies in the last 3 weeks, man, along with my pops about a month ago. So tell your peoples, man, you love them while they're here. give your peoples their flowers, man. I'm gonna give both of y'all flowers, man. Y'all are two amazing people, not just amazing Black people. Y'all are just two amazing people that I'm glad to have in my space, in my circle, and I hope we can continue to grow and collaborate together, man. And with that being said, man, I gotta go open the bar up. So, super producer, you can take us out. We out. See y'all on Juneteenth.